first time the stranger emerged from the taiga, he brought the silence of the forest with him. A quiet so deep it seemed to swallow the very crackle of the fire in the Yakut family hearth. For young Kylan, peering from behind his mother's thick doha coat, the man was not a man at all, but a spirit of the deep frost, his face etched with patterns of old windburn, and his eyes holding the pale, flat light of the winter sky. His name was Anatoly, and he arrived at the family isolated homestead on the eve of the first great cold snap, the one that would plunge the world to -60. He did not ask for shelter, merely stood at the edge of their woodpile, his own axe small, and notched against the massive, gleaming tools of Kylan's father, Dmitri. "The river is my road," he said, his voice a low rasp like snow underfoot. "But the ice has grown teeth early. I read the signs wrong." Dmitri, a mountain of a man whose silence was as solid as the larch logs of his home, studied the stranger. To turn a man away in the deepening Oymyakon winter was a death sentence, written in the frozen stars above. But to invite a mystery inside was its own danger. It was Kylan's grandmother, Babushka Anya, who broke the stalemate. She shuffled forward, her small, dark eyes peering into Anatoly's, not with fear, but with a recognition that chilled Kylan more than the draft under the door. "The storm sings for a guest," she said, her voice brittle. "Let him earn his warmth. The Pechka is hungry." And so, the stranger stayed. Part 1. The Stranger and the Woodpile. The rhythm of the household, a symphony of survival played out for years, was disrupted. Dmitri assigned Anatoly the most basic, yet most vital of tasks, replenishing the fortress of wood. Kylan, a boy of 10 whose world was defined by the walls of the Izba and the vast, wide expanse beyond, was tasked with helping. He watched Anatoly not with the brawny, efficient power of his father, but with a strange, fluid economy of motion. He did not chop wood, he persuaded it to split, his axe falling in precise, almost gentle arcs, each strike finding a hidden weakness in the grain. "You hold the axe like it's a bird," Kylan ventured one afternoon, his breath a cloud between them in the 50 air. "My father holds it like a bear." Anatoly didn't smile, but a crease formed at the corner of his eye. The bear shouts at the wood. The bird listens. In the deep taiga, the trees talk. They tell you which way the wind blows, how deep the frost has bitten their roots. Your father builds a wall against the cold. I move through it. He spoke of things that made Kylan's heart beat faster, of a valley where the snow never melted and the air was so still you could hear a ptarmigan's heartbeat a verst away, of following the tracks of a Siberian tiger, not to hunt it, but to learn its path, to see the world through its eyes for a day. He claimed the cold was not an enemy, but a teacher, and that its first lesson was patience. Kylan was enthralled. He began to see his own world differently. He noticed how the hoarfrost on the window didn't just form randomly, but grew in crystalline feathers pointing towards the stove, the heat pulling the moisture. He saw how the family's dogs, curled in their snow holes, always positioned themselves just so, their noses tucked under their tails in a perfect seal against heat loss. He was learning the grammar of the cold, and Anatoly was his reluctant tutor. But Dmitri grew more suspicious. The stranger's woodpile was perfect, each log identical in length, stacked with an interlocking precision that defied the wind. It was the work of a man who had done this not for a family, but for himself, for a very long time. He was too capable, too knowing. "A man does not learn such things in a season," Dmitri grumbled to his wife Lena, as she mended a fur mitten by the fire. "He has the silence of the Starozhili, the old ones who are more forest than man. Why has he left his own territory?" The tension built like the pressure before a storm. The central conflict of the homestead was no longer man versus nature, but man versus man, shrouded in the unspoken rules of the taiga. Dmitri's world was one of community, of the known paths between scattered homesteads, of shared struggles. Anatoly represented the opposite, the absolute solitary, the unknown. The climax of this first part came on the day the temperature plummeted to the predicted -60. A vicious wind, the buren, began to howl, whipping the surface snow into a blinding, suffocating mist. Dmitri, checking the livestock in the attached shed, found the main latch iced shut. He heaved against it with all his strength, but the iron was fused solid. As he turned to get a hammer, he saw Anatoly. The stranger did not approach the latch. Instead, he walked to the leeward side of the shed, where the snow had drifted high. He sank his bare hands into the drift, not digging, but feeling. After a moment he pulled, and a large, perfectly cut block of snow came away in his hands, revealing a hidden secondary door, a relic from the homestead's original builder, a door Dmitri had forgotten, and his father had never shown him. It was uniced and opened silently. Anatoly looked at Dmitri, his expression unreadable. The first man who built here knew the bear shouts, but the fox whispers. He left a back door. He turned and walked back towards the main house, leaving Dmitri standing in the blasting cold, humbled and deeply unsettled. The stranger had not just solved a problem. He had revealed a secret of their own home, a knowledge that should have been theirs. The question was no longer if Anatoly was a danger, but what other secrets he held, and why he had truly come to them. As the blizzard sealed them in, the real storm, the one inside the Izba, was just beginning.